What's going on, family? You are now tuned in to the All In Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Jenkins, and today is episode 15. Let's clap it up. We made it to episode 15. It's lit. I'm excited. And today, I always say this about every episode, but this episode I'm really excited to talk about. This is really straightforward. This might not be the longest episode, but today we're talking about a really good topic that I really need us men to take in, listen, and not just hear it, break it down, take it in, understand it, and work towards these things. Right? We're talking about a lot of different things on every episode, but we really need to take things in and comprehend and understand what we're seeing, what we're doing, what we hear, and make sure the sound is okay. Yeah, we really need to take this in. And so today's episode, we're going to be talking about how men are different from women. Women are different from men, right? That's something that we really, really need to understand. A lot of men, some men know that, but other men really need to take that in. And so I think this is going to be a really important episode for all men, just in general. Yeah, I see I got my Celsius. Celsius, y'all see what's going on. You know, if anything, reach out to me, shout out. Sponsors, cool, but really don't need to be drinking no energy drink in the first place. But I really like that flavor. So us men, we need to get away from this whole battle of the sexist thing, right? One thing about human nature I see that happens over and over again, that most people have an issue with people not being like them, but they don't even realize that they're looking for people to be just like them. And one thing us men get into, and I'm not saying that some women don't do this thing sometimes, but I'm not a woman and I'm not always in women's business or circles and stuff like that. But I know a lot of times us men, we complain about women not being like us. And we complain because, you know, women aren't like men. And why do women do this? Why do they say this? Why can't they just be like this? And it's like, women are not men. They're not going to act like men. They're not going to do what men do. They're not going to think like men. They are different from us. So we need to get away from the battle of the sexes, right? And I'm not saying that sometimes it's fun, we joke around, we could just joke like, women, like why? Like, I'm not saying that sometimes we can't just be annoyed or just be like, why are they asking for this? Like, why can't you just, like, I'm not saying that it has to be so exhaustive that you can't just rest in the fact of like, why can't she just think like me? Or why can't, you know what I'm saying? But I think it's dangerous for men to be so annoyed, so aggravated, so frustrated, and so mad in an unhealthy way that women just are not like us. Like I see men online talking about, why are women like this? Why are women like that? Like, it's so exhausting being around them because, like, when I'm around my homeboys, it's like this, but when I'm around her, it's like that. Listen, one thing that I keep in my mind, if you as a man want to be with a woman, then you need to understand a woman is going to be a woman, no matter where she come from, how she looks, her background. Everybody has a different personality, but expecting a woman to be different than what a woman is or is like is asinine, because it's like, why are you trying to expect a man and the things a man does and the way a man act out of a woman? Especially if you want to be with a woman, you need to understand that woman at some point in time, no matter what, she is going to act like a woman, talk like a woman, think like a woman. You are going to get a woman out of a woman. Stop expecting a man out of a man. When you hang out with your boys or your friends, understand that you can just be men, be around your homeboys and do your thing. But when you're around your woman, right, or even around your homegirl, whatever, a woman will be a woman. Right? And sometimes it is annoying because they ask us questions that it's like, okay, I'm giving you the answer, but you're not taking any advice. You're asking my perspective, but you're not really listening, but they're just wired differently. And I can't lie. Sometimes it's annoying because it's like, why even ask, right? But I think we need to understand that, especially those men who are in relationships, especially men that are married, right? Um, Again, we need to get away from this battle of the sexist thing and realize that we complement one another. Women complement men, men complement women. We are different for a reason. God made us different for a reason, right? One of the biggest differences that men love is just about sex, right? That's right. That's the difference that a lot of men love. But we need to understand that even in personality, even in thought, even in ways, even in uh just how we construct things or do things, we are different, right? And we're going to go over some, some small ways that we are different as men than women are, right? So even with thinking, we tend to think about logic, and we know women are more geared to what? Emotion, right? And it's annoying because as a man, we thrive in thinking about logic, and we don't want to be bothered with emotion and thinking about the emotional connection, the emotional thought about things. But women tend to be more on the emotional thinking standpoint of things, right? And I really want to do some research on this. This is something I should have been even learned. Um, we always say that women are more emotional than men, but few therapists have come out and said that that is not the truth. We are just as emotional as each other. Our emotion just comes out in different ways. While women might express their emotion, we might be frustrated or annoyed or angry, but we keep it in our mind, or it might come out in a different way. But to us, we seem less emotional, while women seem more on the emotional side. I say that women have more emotional flexibility or capacity because they've been maneuvering in emotions their whole life since a young girl, while most men, now I know that's sort of a blanket statement because some women differ, but most women, for the most part, have been flexible throughout their whole life when it comes to their emotions. Us men, a lot of us don't know our emotions. This is a new thing for us. This is a new place for us. We haven't been in a place where we have expressed emotion for a long time. Especially, we know the saying, "You're a man, man up. You're a boy. Don't be crying. Don't be doing all that sissy whiny stuff." We know that, and so we know that we have been kept away from our emotion for a very long time, or being able to just be a human and be in our emotions, whatever that might look like, whether that's sadness, disappointment. We've always had to suck it up and push it away. So it's hard for us to understand emotion because we're so far removed from that thing, right? And so for us, we think it's them being irrational when really they're just processing. We process by thinking, they process by talking. Now, fellas, I will say this: as a man that has conversations with my bros from time to time, even with maybe somebody that I'm cool with that's a woman, although it's very natural for me to think through things in my mind, it is very helpful when I speak things out loud and process them out loud because I realize things that I didn't realize before. I process things a different way that I didn't process it when I was thinking about it. And that's why on an episode I talked about, dang, how can I not remember the name of my episode? But that's cool. I talked about us as men needing to grow in ways that we do community. Because when you express things to your homie, your homeboy, your bro, your brother, your friends, you start to see things in a different way, in a different light. You start realizing emotions that you didn't realize were there. You didn't realize were hurting. You thought you weren't hurt. You thought you were just mad. But we talked about a lot of times that hurt is the center of that frustration or that pain or that anger, right? So it's one thing we need to understand that women, they process through their feelings first, right? While we go through, thinking and just being in our minds and being straightforward and rational solutions. But we need to understand that this is just how they operate. And we need to get from beside ourselves and just realize like, yo, this is how women do. We may not do it like this, but let me understand. Because as a person, you want to be understood in the first place, right? But I think that we both need to meet each other in the middle, right? Women need to understand men more. Men need to understand women more. Even if you understand, you need to make space for each other to be how they are and find ways that you communicate best with each other, right? So even communication, the communication gap that we might have at times, men, we be like, this is what happened. I don't know about this. I don't know who that is. I didn't ask my friend what day it is. I didn't ask my friend why. These are just what this is just what I know. While women, they thrive in the details. We might not care about details. We don't want to know why your friend did this and whose friend she is and why they're connected. We don't care. But guess what? They do. That's the story to them. They want to build the story off of all of that. Is it annoying sometimes? Yes, because it's like, all right, I had enough. But they want to talk about every little detail. They want to break things down. And I would even challenge men sometimes, a lot of times, to even go that extra step and uh, divulge and understand and have communication in that way, because sometimes it expands your mind. You think, like I said before, you think in ways that you didn't think before, right? You start to see things in ways that you didn't see before. You start to see things in a light where it's like, oh, okay, that's how you see that. I never really think like that, but okay, cool. Sometimes it's exhausting, especially if you might get off work or you had a long day and you don't feel like talking about all that, right? And that's cool. It's not to say that you have to subject yourself to that at the moment. You can say, let's talk about that later right now. I don't feel like taking all that in. But we need to really just find ways that work together, because if we constantly be angry at women for being who women are, then that gets you nowhere, right? But you live a more complementary and easier, a more glued life together by love when you realize she's just different and I'm a man, and we're different, right? I can't be mad at her for being who she is and how she is, right? So even when it comes to problem solving, right? We want to figure out what's the issue and fix it. Women, they want to vent. A lot of times women, truth be told, listen, ladies, correct me if I'm wrong. Sometimes women know the answer. They just want to talk about how they feel. They want to be seen. They want to be heard, right? And I feel like in certain ways, us men, we want to be heard. We want to be seen, even if that's in a way of like respect, right? I think some of these things are relative to one another. It's just different, right? That might not necessarily connect to problem solving and things like that. But yeah, women just want to be understood. We want to help. We want to fix. But sometimes they just want to be heard. And there are some things in your life as a man, trust me, there's some ways you might want to be heard. You probably just don't understand it or recognize it at that moment or point in time. And so I spoke about respect. And women tend to, they just want reassurance. They want to feel secure, right? They want to know that you got me, you understand me, like you got me covered, right? And so one thing I always say is women want, this is something you hear on the internet a lot. Women want love and we want respect, right? But women just want reassurance. Now, different women are different. Some women need a different level of reassurance. Other women need less. Some women need more. Some women you may not know, but until you have, whether it's a family member or a friend or your lady, you'll learn what type of reassurance and how much they need, how sensitive they are. Everybody's a different level of sensitive, right? Some women are highly sensitive. Some women are sensitive, but not as sensitive as a highly sensitive person. But you have to learn and grow and find these things out and understand that, right? So that's very important for us to know. Let's keep going. We are very, very, very direct with things. We say what we mean. We don't play in between the lines. We don't got time to be playing between the lines. We just want to know what it is, how it is, and just cut to the chase. I feel you, fellas, because I'm a man. Like, even though I'm speaking kind of on behalf of women, so to speak, to us, like, I'm a man, so I get it. But women tend to be indirect with some things, right? Now, women can be very direct with things, but even when it comes to talking and conversations, women can be indirect because they want us to pick up on hints. They want us to read in between the lines. They want us to meet them at a certain spot and dig a little more. But we have to understand that. And as a man, sometimes you can be like, babe, or talk to your friend or family, like, I get it, but I'm just not gonna read in between the lines all the time. Like, just meet me where I'm at. Like, sometimes I just need you to be direct. I don't want to have to always be indirect. I think a lot of times we think that meeting women at a certain stance is just always about them, and it's not. Sometimes we got to meet in the middle, right? Like, sometimes we need to just understand women, but we need women to understand us too. And a lot of men, like I always say, heal, go to therapy, address your wounds, address your issues, because some of you don't want to do any of this work. Why? Because you're mad at women. And a lot of that tends to stem from your issues with your mom, like I talked about. Some of them even stem from father wounds, right? But you need to figure that out and understand that, because it's not a good trait. It's not a good life to be very selfish at all, right? So even when it comes to conflicts or emotions and how women think about things or remember things, right? Now, as men, we want to cool down, walk away, chill, work through it, process it. Women want to talk about it immediately. Sometimes we want to move on. Sometimes women hold on to things, right? Because they're thinking about how that made them feel, or what did you mean when you did that or when you said that. And us, we're just like, that didn't necessarily mean anything. I wasn't necessarily saying anything. But a lot of times women read into the action or what happened in that moment or how you made them feel. And guess what? It's crazy because a lot of times us men think that we're so far removed from this, but we're not. We're not that far removed. Are we just like them? No. But sometimes we think that certain things that were done or said don't affect us. But sometimes it's subconsciously in our psyche. Sometimes it's subconsciously in our heart and in our mind. And we feel a certain type of way. But again, we're so removed from our own emotions that we don't even realize. We just think we brush it off or dust it off. Man, you'll go to therapy and realize things bother you a lot more than you realize they do. Again, even as women have different sensitivities, I always say all men have different sensitivity too. People in general. Some men are more sensitive than others. Some men are less sensitive. Some men are more sensitive. Some men are in the middle. Some men don't even know their sensitivity. They think they have a high sensitivity, but they just stuff things down until it comes out. And then if you heal or you grow, you understand, like, oh, I'm very sensitive. I didn't even realize that, right? So let's keep going. One of the last things that I'll talk about is the central point, the central theme, even from the very beginning. We get frustrated because we expect women to think, react, and communicate how we do. And we get mad and frustrated and annoyed because we think that they should be just like us when they're not. The key for us is to understand that the differences between us doesn't mean that they are wrong, right? And so once we understand that, once we work through that, and once we put in the work to understand women and help them understand us and work together as a team, we'll understand that we don't need sameness. And that will make your life easier. Because a lot of times we have frustrations and life is hard and it's all these issues because we won't let go of how we think something should be or the way it should be. When you're not flexible enough, disappointments and frustrations and annoyances get to you, especially as a man being a leader. There should be some type of wherewithal, some type of strength to allow you and help you to sacrifice for things that not always be your way or not always see it your way. Always say, you know what? I think I'm more right on this, but it's okay. Let's work together to see this thing through, especially as a man of God. And if you aren't a man of God and you're asking God to help you or work with you, God will give you the strength that you need in order to do the things that you need to be not only understood, but understand that woman more or understand women in general more, right? Because we always think these skills are more so just for relationships, like romantically. But honestly, we should be good brothers. We should be good sons. We should be good nephews, right? We need to have a healthy respect for women all around the board, not just Some men have it just for the women they're romantic with. Some men have it just for the woman that they're related to. Some men have it just for their friends. We need to have it all across the board. And again, I'm not saying that this has to be so like, because I think sometimes we're so hard on ourselves. It doesn't have to be a thing where like, you better not be annoyed that she's different. You better not be annoyed of why she's thinking like that. You better not be annoyed that she's not like a man. No, because even me, whether it's my mother, whether it's my sister, whether it's my woman, I'm still going to have moments like, why? Just why? Why? But why can't we do it like this? Why do we have to be so drawn out? Why do we have to hold on to emotion in this moment? Why do we got to see this? Why can't we just be simple? Why can't we just see it for what it is? But they are different. And it doesn't mean you can't be frustrated. It doesn't mean you can't be annoyed at times, because women will have their moments when they're annoyed and frustrated that we're not like them. So this is not to beat you up or make you seem like you need to stop it. You need to understand women. No. I'm a man that I want to help us. And helping us sometimes it might mean a little tough love or a rough understanding. But I'm not about to sit here and beat you down for what you don't necessarily understand, what you're working through, or what you need to learn. That's not the way. Because I'm a man. I understand the struggles. I understand the frustrations. I understand working through the things that we need to work through. And so, man, listen, women are not men. I always want to say I want to check my list, but I think that we really wrapped everything up. We wrapped everything up. Yep. Yes. Women are not supposed to be like us. And the more that we settle in that, and the more we realize that, and the more we get from beside ourselves and just, I hope I'm saying that right. Get from beside ourselves. If I'm not, y'all know exactly what I'm saying. But the more that we move away from selfishness, we can understand like, okay, this is how she see things. Like, help me be in your world. She should try to be in your world and you should try to be in her world. Okay, we complement each other. How different are we here? Women will challenge you. Women will want you to do better. While your friends might talk about goals, how you want to grow, how you want to build, the things you want to do as a man. That's great. Might hold each other accountable. Women are going to want to see you grow, do better, hold you accountable in a different way. Maybe not all women, but women tend to challenge us. And what I learned is that women definitely need to learn how to talk to men properly and not to just think they can talk anyway just because we're men. That's one big thing for sure. But one thing I learned is that sometimes it might feel like a woman is demeaning you or undermining you, but she just wants you to do better. She just wants you to see things from a different perspective. Like she just wants to challenge you in a way that will help you grow as her man because she loves you and she sees you. Right? But again, ladies, if you're seeing this, that's great. We thank you. But for the women who know they need to work on their tone, their delivery, what they say, how they say, we will really appreciate it. Whether romantic, whether a family member, we will really appreciate it if you work on your delivery, how you deliver things, and just being respectful and being who you are, being loving, even when you challenge us, even when you correct all of those things. But fellas, women are different from men. So that's the episode for today. Episode 15, women are different from men. And I hope we really take this in and really listen and hear, because this is not complex. But sometimes it might be complex for the men that really need to do inner work on themselves, that really need to see themselves for who they are, what they have going on, all the issues, right? So that's the episode for today. See you guys on episode 16, next episode. I'm your host, Michael Jenkins. That's all for today. Peace.